Number 1. Born from Betrayal. Picture this: thousands of years before Luke Skywalker ever picked up a lightsaber, the galaxy witnessed the birth of its greatest evil. The Sith didn't start as some external threat from the unknown regions or as an alien invasion force. Oh no, they came from within the Jedi Order itself. Around 5000 BBY, before the Battle of Yavin, during a period known as the 100-Year Darkness, the seeds of the Sith were planted through philosophical disagreement and ambition. The conflict began when a rogue Jedi came to believe that the true power of the Force lay not through contemplation and passivity. This unnamed fallen Jedi, whose identity has been lost to time in current canon, decided that the Jedi's whole peace and serenity philosophy was holding them back. They believed that only by tapping the dark side could the Force's true potential be reached. Talk about a workplace disagreement gone catastrophic. This rogue Jedi wasn't content to keep these beliefs to themselves. They gained followers who shared their vision of power through passion and emotion. Initially, the Jedi Order and the individuals who became the Sith were considered brothers in the Force, but this unity fractured spectacularly during the 100-Year Darkness. The Jedi High Council balked at this new direction, and the philosophical schism turned into something far more sinister. The fallen Jedi and their followers began experimenting with dark side techniques, creating abominations and pushing the boundaries of what the Force could do. During this period, terrifying creations emerged, including the Shadowfang Beast, a bioconstruct that generated a resonance-absorptive shield. These dark experiments horrified the traditional Jedi. The conflict escalated into full-scale war. The dark side practitioners raised armies and creatures to battle their former brothers and sisters. But here's where it gets interesting. The Jedi, despite their commitment to peace, proved surprisingly effective at war when pushed to it. After decades of conflict, the light side prevailed. The Jedi Order emerged victorious, and the defeated Darksiders were stripped of their weapons and armor. In what the Jedi considered an act of mercy, they exiled the fallen rather than executing them, hoping they would see the error of their ways. Spoiler alert, they didn't. Instead, this exile would plant the seeds for thousands of years of galactic conflict. Number 2. Empire of Shadows. After their humiliating defeat and exile from Republic space, the Dark Jedi wandered the unknown regions in search of a new home. Their journey ended when they discovered something incredible: a world of red sands called Korriban, later known as Moraband in the modern era. This wasn't just any dusty, forgotten planet. It was home to an ancient species actually called the Sith, red-skinned beings with facial tentacles who were naturally gifted in dark side abilities. The Force worked in mysterious ways, leading the exiles to kindred spirits. When the exiled Dark Jedi arrived on Korriban, they were greeted as demigods by the native Sith species. Using their advanced technology and Force powers, the exiles quickly established themselves as the ruling class. The two groups intermarried over generations, creating a new hybrid civilization that combined the worst aspects of both cultures: the ambition and knowledge of the fallen Jedi with the natural dark side affinity of the Sith species. The term Sith evolved to encompass not just the original species but this new dark side order. On Korriban, they rebuilt and waited for the perfect chance to strike back at the Jedi. The planet became a massive construction site for the dark side. Massive temples and tombs were erected with the help of slaves, eventually turning the fledgling order into an empire. The Valley of the Dark Lords became the epicenter of their civilization, housing elaborate tombs for their greatest leaders. The largest monument was the Sith Temple, which would later contain the tomb of Darth Bane and an execution chamber where ancient Sith killed large groups of Jedi prisoners. Think of it as the galaxy's most sinister architectural project, where every stone was laid with malevolent purpose. For generations, the Sith Empire grew in the shadows of the unknown regions. They didn't just build monuments. They constructed massive superweapons powered by huge kyber crystals that would later inspire Darth Sidious' Death Star. See? Even the Death Star wasn't an original idea. The Sith formed alliances with other dark side groups like the Night Sisters of Dathomir and the plant-like Drengir species. They accumulated knowledge, perfected dark side techniques, and nursed their burning hatred for the Jedi. Every meditation, every training session, every monument built was dedicated to one purpose: revenge against those who had cast them out. The Sith had found their home, and from this dark sanctuary, they would launch their endless crusade against the light. Number 3. Wars without end. The galaxy's peace shattered when the Sith Empire finally revealed itself to the Republic. Around 5000 BBY, two young hyperspace explorers, Gav and Jory Darrigan, accidentally stumbled upon the Sith Empire's territory. This chance encounter gave the Sith the hyperspace routes they needed to launch their long-awaited invasion. What followed was the Great Hyperspace War, the first of many devastating conflicts between Jedi and Sith that would scar the galaxy for millennia. The Sith struck with overwhelming force, catching the Republic completely off guard. One particularly stunning victory saw them capture Coruscant itself, the very heart of the Republic. During their occupation, the Sith built the Shrine in the Depths, a dark side nexus designed to corrupt the planet's natural force energies. This wasn't just about military conquest, it was spiritual warfare. The Shrine would cast a shadow over the Force for thousands of years to come, clouding the Jedi's vision and weakening their connection to the light side. But the Jedi, resilient as always, eventually rallied and reclaimed their temple, in a move that perfectly encapsulates either Jedi wisdom or stunning naivety, depending on your point of view. They built their new Jedi temple directly on top of the Sith Shrine, hoping to contain its dark energies. Because nothing says problem solved like building your headquarters on top of concentrated evil. This decision would have dire consequences during the Clone Wars, as Darth Sidious used the Shrine's lingering darkness to cloud the Jedi's judgment. The wars continued across the centuries, each more devastating than the last. The Great Scourge of Malachor marked another apocalyptic confrontation. Darth Tanis created a superweapon on Malachor that, while less powerful than the Death Star, had its own unique horror. It turned its victims to stone, preserving them in their final moments of terror. The weapon's activation petrified thousands of Jedi and Sith alike, creating a monument to mutual destruction that would haunt the planet for millennia. Each war ended the same way, devastating losses on both sides, temporary victory for the Jedi, and the Sith retreating to lick their wounds and plot their next assault. The cycle seemed endless, with neither side able to permanently defeat the other. Number 4. Too many cooks. Here's where the Sith's greatest weakness revealed itself in spectacular fashion. They were absolutely terrible at playing nice with each other. While the Jedi had their whole unity and cooperation philosophy keeping them together, the Sith were constantly backstabbing, scheming, and murdering each other for power. The very philosophy that gave them strength, passion, ambition, and the pursuit of power also made them incapable of true cooperation. By the time of the final Jedi-Sith War, around 1032 BBY, the Sith were spending more energy fighting each other than battling their actual enemies. The Sith Order had devolved into a chaotic mess of competing factions and feuding lords. The Masters demanded loyalty from their apprentices, but they sometimes betrayed them if they found someone with more potential. Meanwhile, apprentices were constantly plotting to overthrow their masters. It was like trying to run an evil empire when your board of directors keeps murdering each other during meetings. The infighting reached absurd levels. Sith lords would form temporary alliances just to betray each other moments later, sometimes in the middle of battles with the Jedi. The Brotherhood of Darkness emerged as an attempt to solve this problem through democracy. Yes, Sith democracy. Their leader, Lord Khan, thought having multiple Sith Lords working together as equals would make them stronger. In reality, it just meant more people plotting against each other with extra steps. The Brotherhood's philosophy went against everything the Sith traditionally stood for. Instead of the strongest ruling through power, they had committees. Instead of decisive action, they had debates. It was like watching evil try to run itself through bureaucracy. This organizational disaster made them vulnerable to both external and internal threats. The Jedi, seeing the Sith weakened by infighting, pressed their advantage. But the real threat came from within, a Sith named Exile, who would become Darth Bane. Bane saw the Brotherhood's weakness and was disgusted by what the Sith had become. He believed their democratic approach diluted the dark side's power and that the Sith needed to return to their roots. His solution would be radical, brutal, and brilliant. Want to dive deeper into the dark side? Hit that subscribe button and join us on our journey through the shadows of Star Wars lore. Number 5. Enter Darth Bane. Just when it seemed the Sith were done for, destined to destroy themselves through petty squabbles and foolish democracy, along came a visionary who said, "You know what? Maybe having fewer murder-happy Dark Lords is actually better." Darth Bane, born as a simple miner named Exile, rose through the ranks of the Brotherhood of Darkness to become the architect of the Sith's salvation through their near-complete destruction. Bane was disgusted by what he saw in the Brotherhood. Here were supposed Dark Lords debating like senators, forming committees, and diluting their power through numbers. He studied ancient Sith texts and realized a fundamental truth. The dark side's power wasn't meant to be shared equally among many, but concentrated in the few. He discovered that the ancient Sith had understood this, with the relationship between master and apprentice being part of their ideology since the Great Scourge of Malachor. But the Brotherhood had forgotten these lessons in their desperation to match the Jedi's numbers. His solution was as cunning as it was ruthless. During the final battle on Ruusan, Bane manipulated Lord Khan into using a thought bomb, a devastating force weapon that would kill every Force-sensitive being within its range, light or dark, while the Brotherhood of Darkness and the Jedi Army annihilated each other in one apocalyptic moment. Bane stayed safely away, the sole Sith survivor of his own orchestrated genocide. From the ashes of the old order, he forged something new. The rule of two was elegant in its simplicity. There would be only two Sith Lords at any given time, a master to embody the power of the dark side, and an apprentice to crave it and train under the master, destined to one day fulfill their role by overthrowing them. No more armies of Sith Lords stepping on each other's capes. No more committees or democracy, just two beings, channeling the full power of the dark side, working in perfect focus toward a single goal. Bane took a young girl named Rain, who he renamed Darth Zana, as his first apprentice under this new system. When she eventually killed him and took his place as master, she proved the rule of two worked exactly as intended, ensuring only the strongest Sith survived to pass on their knowledge. Number 6. Shadows and Patience. The rule of two fundamentally changed the Sith from a blunt instrument of destruction into a precise scalpel of manipulation. These Sith would operate in the shadows, favoring guile and conspiracy over open warfare. For 1,000 years, each Sith master trained one apprentice, passing down not just knowledge and power, but an ever-growing reservoir of hatred and patience. They became the galaxy's ultimate long-term planners, playing a game measured in centuries while their enemies thought in years. Think about the sheer discipline this required. While the Jedi were out there being celebrated heroes, serving as generals and peacekeepers, the Sith had to remain completely hidden. Every Sith Lord had to resist the temptation to reveal themselves, to claim the glory and fear they craved. Instead, they worked through intermediaries, manipulated governments, and pulled strings from so deep in the shadows that most of the galaxy forgot they even existed. The Jedi eventually declared the Sith extinct, exactly as Bane had planned. Each generation of Sith built upon the work of the last. They infiltrated governments, accumulated vast wealth through hidden networks, and studied every weakness of the Jedi Order. They learned patience from observing their enemies' complacency. As the Jedi became more integrated with the Republic, more bound by bureaucracy and politics, the Sith noted every compromise, every moment where the Jedi chose expedience over principle. They were basically evil project managers with a 1,000-year deadline, and they never lost sight of their goal. The rule of two also ensured each generation grew stronger. When an apprentice killed their master, it proved they had surpassed them in power or cunning. Darth Zana killed Darth Bane, taking his place and continuing the line. Her apprentice would eventually do the same to her, and so on through the centuries. Names like Darth Cognis, Darth Vectivus, and Darth Gravid carried the Sith legacy forward, each adding their own innovations to the grand plan. Some focused on Sith sorcery, others on political manipulation, but all served the greater goal: the complete destruction of the Jedi Order and domination of the galaxy. By the time of Darth Plagueis and his apprentice Darth Sidious, the Sith had transformed from scattered exiles into the galaxy's most dangerous conspiracy, poised to strike at the perfect moment. Number 7. The Grand Plan. Fast forward through centuries of meticulous scheming, and we arrive at the culmination of Bane's vision: Darth Plagueis the Wise and his apprentice, Darth Sidious. Plagueis was a Moon banking clan member who used his species' natural affinity for finance to fund the Sith's operations while researching the deepest mysteries of the Force. He became obsessed with conquering death itself, believing this would make the Sith truly eternal. His apprentice, Sheev Palpatine of Naboo, proved to be the perfect student: brilliant, patient, and utterly ruthless behind a mask of grandfatherly charm. Together, they worked to unravel the Force's greatest secrets. Plagueis attempted to create a Force dyad with Sidious, seeking to harness a power as strong as life itself. He believed two Sith were required to enact their ultimate plan, one to serve as bait for the dark side, the other to be the vessel. But even Sith partnerships have trust issues, especially when you're literally training your replacement. Sidious, following proper Sith tradition, murdered his master in his sleep. The irony was delicious. The Sith Lord obsessed with preventing death couldn't prevent his own. Some advice: if you're a Sith master who's figured out how to cheat death, maybe don't tell your power-hungry apprentice about it before you've actually mastered the technique. Now working alone, with a series of disposable apprentices, Sidious orchestrated the mother of all political coups. As Senator Palpatine, he rose through Naboo's political ranks to represent his planet in the Galactic Senate. He engineered the Naboo Crisis, manipulating the Trade Federation into invading his homeworld, which generated sympathy and propelled him to the position of Supreme Chancellor. He was essentially playing chess against himself and winning every game. But his true masterpiece was the Clone Wars. Sidious played both sides, commanding the Republic as Chancellor Palpatine while secretly leading the Separatists as Darth Sidious. He created the clone army through manipulation and assassination, then engineered a war that would give him emergency powers and position the Jedi as military commanders, a role that compromised their principles and made them perfect scapegoats. All the while, he groomed Anakin Skywalker, the chosen one of Jedi prophecy, recognizing that turning the Jedi's savior into their destroyer would be the ultimate victory. Every word of praise, every gesture of friendship, every moment of manufactured crisis pushed Anakin closer to the dark side. Number 8. Victory and downfall. And then it happened. Order 66. In one devastating moment that took seconds to execute but 1,000 years to plan, the Sith achieved what millennia of open warfare couldn't: the near-complete destruction of the Jedi Order. Across the galaxy, clone troopers turned on their Jedi generals, gunning them down without warning. The Jedi Temple burned. Masters, knights, Padawans, even younglings all fell to Darth Vader's blade, or the clones' blasters. The Republic became the Empire. Democracy died with thunderous applause, and Palpatine ruled supreme as Emperor. The rule of two had worked perfectly. For over 2 decades, the Sith ruled the galaxy through fear. The Empire's war machine crushed dissent, destroyed entire planets, and hunted the few surviving Jedi to near extinction. Vader and the Inquisitors, former Jedi twisted by torture and lies, ensured no new Jedi could rise. The Sith seemed invincible, their victory complete. They had won through patience, planning, and exploiting their enemies' own virtues against them. The dark side's triumph appeared absolute and eternal. But here's the thing about the dark side: it's inherently self-destructive. The very philosophy that brought the Sith to power also ensured their downfall. When Luke Skywalker refused to kill his father and join the dark side, when he threw away his lightsaber and chose love over power, he broke the cycle. Anakin Skywalker, seeing his son tortured, remembered what it meant to love someone more than power. In that moment, the Chosen One fulfilled his destiny, not by bringing balance through joining the Sith, but by destroying them to save his son. The Emperor's first death at Endor should have ended the Sith forever, but through unnatural cloning and dark science, Palpatine returned decades later, attempting one final grasp at eternal rule. During the Battle of Exile, he revealed that his body contained the spirits of all Sith since Bane, 1,000 years of darkness concentrated in one being. But Rey, empowered by the spirits of past Jedi, sacrificed herself to destroy the Emperor in body and soul. Ben Solo's redemption and resurrection of Rey proved that love, not hatred, was the stronger power. With Sidious's final destruction, Darth Bane's long vendetta, and the Sith Order itself were permanently ended. The Sith's greatest strength, their passionate embrace of power at any cost, proved to be their ultimate weakness. They could never truly trust, never truly unite, and in the end, were undone not by the Jedi's strength, but by something they could never understand: selfless love and sacrifice. From ancient schism to final destruction, the Sith's story is one of ambition, betrayal, and the corrupting nature of absolute power. Thanks for joining us on this dark journey through galactic history. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and may the Force be with you, always.